B tier because it was pretty good. It wasn't as loud as like a dad sneeze, for example, but it also didn't have the coronavirus in it, so I'd say a solid B right there.
Hey, would having coronavirus bump it up to an S or an F? I don't get
Nah,
it.
F tier. No one wants that shit.
That it's technically the most potent type of cough you could have.
You're the
But
most
it doesn't improve the sneeze though. The OGDS.
Ooh, I would say that's a solid B.
Good.
I'd give it a B because also it had some backward compatibility too.
Yeah, it had a GBA
Did?
slot.
Yep.
Huh.
I think later DSs got rid of it, which
Yeah.
that's
Well, then we should give that an A then. That
Well, the later ones, what they did was you can just buy. I mean, you have to rebuy the games, but you can still play them. Which is somewhat fair, I think, because the cartridges kind of go bad, or at least the batteries do.
whoops. There we
But
go.
this as a system, I'd give it probably a B, because I'm also thinking of the game selection too. Like it had some pretty good games, but not as solid of a library as some other consoles. But it had quite a lot. I'll say that.
Hmm.
Solid beats. I agree with you, Sean. Except about the almond joys.
we'll agree to disagree on that one.
We'll wait till the final tier list video. PS3.
I think
Oh,
there's
F.
other PS3s in here, so this is specifically the Slim.
Oh,
Slim.
F.
Okay.
F.
I never had the Slim. I had the fat one.
I've just had bad experiences with PS3s.
But overall, I think PS3 has a very strong library and it has a lot of good exclusives on it.
I would say I'm between C or D because I wouldn't rate it F because this Slim fixed a lot of reliability problems that the fat PS3s had. And even though it's not backwards compatible, yes, it does have a very stout gaming library. And for
I'd
that,
say C for sure.
say
Yeah.
C. What do you think, Sean?
Um, I would go D then or C. Yeah,
Yana?
I wouldn't go higher than a C.
Never tried it. No clue.
What do you think of the aesthetic of the PS3?
Oh, jeez.
Is it a good looking piece of equipment to have on your TV stand?
Well, the PS3 looks
Slick.
good.
Depends
Well,
what
the Slim
your
looks good
TV
too.
looks like. Yeah.
I mean, from based off of what you're looking at right now, what tier would you give it?
It's a B. I don't know.
We'll put it in
Pretty
C.
good.
We'll put it in C.
Sure.
PS3.
Sure.
By the way, we have 39 consoles.
That's not bad.
Game Boy Advance.
Oh.
Now, this one is going to be at least an A tier because
Yeah.
I would say A tier because you can play all the Game Boy and Game Boy Color games on it. So automatically, I think that makes it better than the last two Game Boys. It felt the best to hold. I think it was the best Game Boy release.
Ergonomically, the only other better one I think, in my opinion, would be the what was it called, the SP, the Cube one.
Yeah,
Oh, the Game Boy SP, yeah.
the Advance SP. That was a pretty
Yeah.
sweet piece of kit.
I'd rank them both an A, but I guess we'll wait till we get to that one. Not to
We'll have
mention
to-
the Game Boy Advance had a pretty good library too. Like you can play a lot of SNES games on them. Plus, it
Gen
had stuff
3
like Metroid.
Pokemon.
Yeah,
Gen
Yeah.
3.
Ruby, Sapphire, Emeralds. You had like Metroid Fusion.
And not to mention Fire Red, the retro throwbacks.
So I would give it an A or an S.
I'd say
let's
an A
Definitely
let's
an
give it
A.
A for now. Yeah.
because there are other consoles I'd put an S. I think. Oh, well, that's F tier.
Fuck
Oh,
is that?
Wii U.
like I haven't even played it, but I can tell you
Huh.
I unfortunately have. It's the only console recently that I've skipped, and the only games that I actually would play on it would be Mario Kart, which you can just play on the Switch, and Smash Bros, which I can just play Smash Ultimate. So, not to mention the hardware
Yeah, that
is a piece of crap, and the
so
games library kind of sucks.
that's kind of the thing is when Smash Ultimate came out, this became irrelevant for any people who played Smash, and then when they release a Mario Maker on the Switch, this will become very irrelevant and pretty much not worth having.
Obsolete.
They've released the second one, have they?
Yeah, but I don't think it's on the Switch, is it?
It is. It should be.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't have it, but
that's what I predicted was going to happen. I just haven't been paying enough attention. So,
just skip the Wii U. It's terrible. I am never going to buy one.
because I remember one of my roommates getting it at launch, and it's just a really cumbersome device to use. They laud the big tablet as really convenient for like playing your games without having to have the TV, and you can just have the console always hooked up to the TV. But
Using it as a controller or using it as a portable device both feel really clunky.
dude, they already finished the food. These guys are crazy.
Jaguar.
King or eating it?
I've never played this to make an opinion.
You know, neither have I actually.
I've never played this, so I don't. Do you want to put it in N?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it'll have to go in N.
it's a little before my time, and I haven't picked up the console yet. So, is that the 3DS?
The
Or is that the
3DS.
DS Lite?
No,
3DS.
no, this is the 3DS with the round joystick.
I'd give it a. I think I might also put it in B with the DS. Like it improved on a lot of things compared to the regular DS. And like I said, with the store, you can just play whatever older games you want. They aren't super expensive or anything. Like if I wanted to play Pokemon Red, for example, I could buy it on the store.
I
It
would
has some good
definitely.
type.
I wouldn't want to rate it any lower than B because it has carried the Nintendo
Yeah.
just pretty well of just being really good with the older games.
It's better than the original DS in some ways and worse in others. I think it has some solid games in its library as well.
Yeah. No, I think the 3DS didn't. It did really have a couple things wrong with it. Like the 3D effect is really gimmicky. I don't think it makes a huge
I
difference.
have it shut off in mine, so
Most people don't like it.
Ooh, the Virtual Boy, I think.
oh,
Is it?
after.
I've never had the chance to use
No
one of
clue.
these, but from what I know about it and from what I've seen in videos, it is probably not a very nice gameplay experience at all.
It I don't even think I have to play it to put it in F tier. I mean, I haven't, but I don't want to at the same time.
Everything I know about consoles came from AVGN videos.
Nice.
Let's put it in N because we can't fairly judge it. We may have to revisit this list if we ever get to a point where we feel like we've been able to explore more video game consoles. Because
It's not a console I would buy, unfortunately. So
I would want it for collective purposes for sure, but
I still wouldn't do it because when I collect games, I'm not trying to collect all of them. I'm just trying to collect the best
ones
ones, the
you
most
like,
notable ones,
yeah.
and the ones that I like specifically.
mm,
So I will skip the Wii U and I'll skip the Virtual Boy. Is that the DS Lite?
this is the DSi. So this is the final
DSi.
line of the non 3DS's DS's, kind of the final culmination of the original DS. So
Okay. C tier.
C tier.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it came out kind of late and the camera function was kind of gimmicky, kind of useless to me.
And because I would agree with those points, but I also think that um, I don't know, because it still had.
Although,
Yep, there
So
he is
okay, so our ritual worked. Um, we've invoked you properly, right,
again.
Danny?
This has
yeah.
been like the second time this has been a thing.
So
Yeah. So Danny, you're here now, so you're probably gonna be partially mad at our rankings, or are you?
yeah, you're gonna have to.
Looking at it so far,
That's the C tier's the PS3 Slim, by the way.
oh, um,
And this is the DSi we're looking at. So in B tier we have the
PS3 Slim.
Yeah, you
What
guys.
was the what was the reasoning?
It has a good games library, but it's kind of it's just a. Well, I don't know. Because
I don't feel like it was as powerful. Plus, the old fat PS3 models had
it
some
doesn't
extra
it doesn't have any
Okay.
backwards compatibility, and it's just got a good games library, and it's more reliable than the earlier PS3s. That's pretty much all it has
Okay.
going for it.
Okay, but like the other PS3 would be comparable.
The other PS3 I'd rank higher than that for sure.
Okay, yeah. Then I'm fine with that.
The console itself, like the library, has nothing to do with it being in C tier for me. I mean, the library is the reason why it's not lower than C tier.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I'm saying.
So wait, the DSi, did that get rid of the GBA capability? Do you know, Danny?
Yes,
I
Oh, yeah, I would definitely want to put this in at least C tier.
I
But
put it in D
really,
for-
what's worse about it than that?
for.
we can't forget that it was released, like I was saying, it was released kind of late. Like there were pretty much everyone who's going to buy a DS already had one at that point.
Yeah,
I
like
just
the DS,
the
the
only
DSi was released and tried to be marketed as its own device, but it was one of like the things where I like disliked Nintendo, where it's like the Wii U of DSs.
because the
Like
DS
the 3D,
Lite, the DS Lite, which
I
was
agree with you.
the pocket profile as this, did that still have GBA functionality?
yes.
Yeah, I don't. What were they
Did
thinking?
it? Okay,
Why did they
I'm
even
gonna-
release
I'm gonna
this?
look it up here.
The DSi is the Wii U of the DSs, and the only reason it's better is because it's almost because it's closer to a DS Lite than a Wii U is closer to a Wii.
Because that's what I remember about these consoles, that the original DS had GBA functionality, but it was big and bulky, and the hinge was crap. The DS Lite fixed everything wrong with the DS reliability-wise and preserved the GBA functionality, but then the DSi took it away,
I think
which made
I
no
don't-
sense to me.
Yeah, was the normal DS ever capable of playing regular Game Boy games?
Not Game Boy Color and Game Boy Original, but
It
Game
was
Boy
Advance,
Advance.
yeah.
Just Game Boy Advance and up.
For me,
Okay,
like
but
a
yeah.
functional collection for Nintendo handheld stuff means that I would own a Game Boy Advance of some sort, a DS, and a 3DS, and then I'd be able to play pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Xbox 360. I'd give it a B only because I'd put the PS3 in A.
I'd give it an X.
I've never been a fan of the Xbox systems.
Yeah, I've
I
been
have
more
I
of a
have I have
PlayStation
I have both.
fan.
I've always had both actually.
Is this the 360 or just the regular original Xbox?
This
Yeah,
is the
360.
first generation of Xbox 360.
Oh, 360.
So the library isn't as strong as PlayStation. I will say that.
Yeah, PlayStation
The-
3 I feel like had some better games, especially Little Big Planet. The Xbox 360 just had Halo. I do like how they wanted the Xbox 360 to be a less expensive console and have more expandability, but they tripped over themselves with the whole Red Ring of Death charade.
There
So-
were several very, very good games that I still think I'd return to them from the PS3. The Xbox, like they have Dead Rising. I love Dead Rising, Gears of War, and Halo. and I can't think of too many other solid exclusives that I personally like.
I think Fable's like Xbox exclusive.
Fable, yes, that's right.
Fable's a really good one.
Fable is really good. The OG Game Boy. This was my first console.
I've
if you
actually used
call
this
that.
one. Wait, which one did you have?
I had the although I didn't have this one, I had the Lite, so the smaller one. But this generation.
I prefer the color.
Yeah, the color was the major architecture upgrade that came after this.
So
It's-
yeah,
but the Game Boy-
looking-
Huh?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying the Game Boy Light is the same exact architecture and dot matrix display. It's just it's black and white.
Right.
Pixels on and off. That's all it is. It's not color. Well, Game Boy Color in itself is kind of a stretch because
Yeah.
it's literally just a 16 color palette, I think, or 8 color palette. I forget exactly, but it's not.
Well, at the time,
I still say that's a big jump.
This
Yeah.
this for its time was amazing. I actually
Yeah, of
own one of
course.
these things and I love it.
but
Does it
it's
deserve an
also I think we have to take into account that the color and the advanced can play these games. Although the
I'd
games
say
that
A,
were
though.
released on this were pretty good.
I mean, if you found this at a garage sale for like $20, how eager would you be to buy it?
I would buy it immediately.
I'd
Yeah, I'd
probably
do it.
buy it. Yeah.
So,
It's a piece of history.
because I almost want to put it in A. Yeah, squarely
Oh,
because
I
it's-
think it belongs in A alongside the Game Boy Advance.
Just for its place in history.
Just for OG.
Well-
just being
Not even its place in history. Like I would
Functionality,
pick one up.
that as well.
Genuinely.
But it's just a really cool, ergonomic, and it's got a good amount of games as well, which are also pieces of history. It's just a nifty little thing you can pull out, and people will be like, "What is that? that's cool."
nifty.
You had Donkey Kong Land.
Well,
you had
are
the
we-
original Pokemon games.
Oh,
The PS Vita.
Vita?
Oh, that's
um,
probably D
I-
tier.
I haven't played that one, but PSP for sure A tier.
The PS Vita is what killed the handhelds for Sony.
PlayStation.
It's just the thing about it is like the hardware was decent, but the game selection wasn't too good, and the games that you could play on it were just significantly lower in quality compared to a regular PlayStation. There were some games that were only for the PS Vita, but that almost doesn't matter because they weren't. I don't think that they were all that good.
I think the big problem that I had with this is the original PSP as well is Sony kind of suffered from PlayStation 3 itis, where they over-engineered the hell out of it and then expected people to make games for it, and also charged a premium for the device. It was too expensive and the game selection was poor, so it just suffered from it's a great device that suffered from a poor economy behind it. So I think in that basis it should go in D tier, maybe? I'm between C and D tier.
I say D, but definitely not F.
Yeah.
Because it's not a bad device. It's actually
No, it's
it's
good.
It's actually pretty.
It's just it failed in other aspects. N64, the jump to
Pretty good.
3D.
S.
I'm
Well, this was
I
my
would-
first TV console right here, and I love it, of course. And
I
part
say
of that is
well,
the
it has to
nostalgia.
be better than Xbox.
yeah.
There
It's
are a lot of great games on it, and the games have kind of a unique design to them that you can't find in any future consoles.
I would say S.
The only problems I have with it are the cartridges and the controller. I'd put it in A.
Really?
I know I'm between A and S, but I
It
think
had some flops, and it was to the GameCube. It was like the NES versus the SNES, if you think about it. that's why I would put it in A. Although it's one of my. I'm trying not to be blinded by nostalgia.
Right.
But I
Yeah,
would
you know
still
what?
put
I
it
would
in,
say
yeah.
A.
You see, what I really love about the N64, as not just a console but a place in history as well, if you think about it, uh, so I don't know, I'm making up a statistic. A good amount of American households, we can fairly believe, have PS3s and Xbox Ones in their homes, right? Or PS4s and Xbox Ones. How
Mhm.
many of these people do you think have Call of Duty somewhere in their library?
Most.
And some other, like, first-person shooters and dungeon crawler games. So the N64 was not just an insanely, oddly good console. It did have flaws and weird iffies, but these flaws, I think, benefited its diversity of game selection, and mostly to do with the cartridge, because Nintendo did what they did to they utilized cartridges because they wanted the fast loading speeds in the flash ROM, but Sony and Sega did CDs because they realized that you could put way more stuff on the CDs. And of course, the PlayStation got games like Final Fantasy VII, which of course benefited greatly from the CD, but there was so much more that the N64 had to offer hardware-wise. You play PS1 games, they look aliased, they look pixelated, like Gran Turismo 1 and Gran Turismo 2 look like shit compared to probably what they would have looked like if they were made for the N64. So I think the N64 deserves to be an S tier because just all of the things that were good made it amazing, and all of the things that were bad made all of their games diversified and just really, really special.
Fair. Well, I think Mario 64 kind of showed the industry how to really make a 3D game.
Mm.
If you think about it, like with the camera system was rudimentary, but
Well,
other than that, the design, pretty much everything about that game kind of kicked everything off.
I mean, there is a multi-million dollar speedrunning community that still exists as a result of that game that was made how long ago? It was 1994, right? So 2019,
Which
25
game?
years ago. 25 years ago. Super Mario 64. People are still
Was
playing
that
that game,
released?
is my point.
I thought it was released in '96.
I kind of want to Google it, but I don't want to do too much research right now because we're just doing a tier list. But yeah, 94, 96, whenever it was released. The point is, 20 plus years, people have been playing this game because it's just that good. They really, really did not slack on any part of this console. We can't say the same for any of the consoles that have come since then.
I'd
For the
put.
most.
I'd,
Oh, here's a
I'm okay
literal,
with this.
literal downgrade to the DS
Oh, F.
F tier.
I'd put it. I'd put it. See, like
It's like instead
it's
of getting a regular Samsung, it's like getting the what was it? That other budget model that's just not as good.
You're getting a mini tablet. This thing can't fold, so you can't fit it in your pocket. I don't know what they were thinking with this
It has
console.
downgraded hardware. I'd put it in F tier.
Well, they made the whole console dramatically cheaper than the 3DS, which was amazing. But they made the console way bigger for mobile, and then it needs to be an F tier.
All it was
Okay.
was it was meant to be a budget option. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all. And for that, it's worse.
just save up a bit more money and get the 3DS.
Yep, pretty much. I think the more recent Xbox 360, right?
Yes. Well, this is the Slim, so this is I think they actually did make one more 360 after this, but this is the one that sold like crazy after
Well,
they
this one fixed
reduced
the
it fixed
I
the Red Ring of
believe.
Death, and it
Yep.
also sold for I think $100 less than the launch price of the original 360. So it was way cheaper for what you were getting, and gave a lot more people access to games like Black Ops 3, and
Yeah,
it was just
I think it.
a really nice family-oriented option
I
for
think it bumps it up. I think that bumps it up to a B tier compared to the original.
I would say so, yeah. As much as I'm not a fan of the 360, it definitely did make gaming more accessible for families.
And despite what I say about exclusives, there's a big variety of games from that generation that you can play on both systems. So
Yeah, that's also true. Whoa, big photo.
the NES.
Ooh, ooh,
There
ooh, ooh,
are, I think the NES has a lot of hit or miss games. There's some really, really good ones, and there's some really, really bad ones.
the variety. I think the best thing
The
about the
variety, yeah,
NES
that,
is the
absolutely.
variety.
I think you have to account for the times. Your options, if you didn't get this, was the Sega Genesis, and that's basically it. There was a bunch of other funky game consoles, but they didn't really have established game libraries or.
Wasn't the Sega Genesis? Wasn't that the next generation with the
SNES?
yeah,
It might have been. Okay, yeah, no, this was equivalent to the Sega Master System.
which no.
So
No.
You have
Solid.
like
I'd give it.
No way.
So
No.
in the time that this was made, this was bonkers amazing. It was expensive, but
still S.
it was still attainable by a family.
I would give it A tier for sure.
Wait,
Are you
So,
kidding me?
but why wouldn't you
Because
put it in S tier?
I would put the Super Nintendo in S tier. That's why. And I
Yeah.
think the Super Nintendo took what the NES did and did it better.
I suppose I
disagree,
can.
but sure.
Well, okay. So why would you discount that
mean-
point to put it in S tier?
Well, because I'm very biased and I had like 20,000 ROMs for the NES emulator when I was little, and that's all I played.
Well,
I
when
also
was
because
little,
the
all I played
historical
was the
significance.
N64. But
Reggie
I
boy.
I recognize that the GameCube took what the N64 did, all the good aspects of it, and improved on it. I can recognize that.
yeah, that's why like I feel like I would put a lot of the Nintendo consoles besides the Wii U like in almost a league of their own because I find like each one to be like even like though they're not like hardware wise technically on like the best level compared to like competitors, like they've been like great. And so like I don't know like if we're ranking all of them, like if I would put like all of them in S tier or like if I want to distinguish between the two because like I don't know. Like I feel like Nintendo systems just like in general have like such great value. Like if I found any one of them, I would probably pick it up. Like if I find a Wii for the right price, I'm picking it up even though I own one.
Just gonna have a TV with a giant pile of Wii's underneath it.
Pretty much.
Nice. Okay, so the PSP that we've been ignoring on the screen, I would say around C tier. I had one. It had similar issues versus the PS Vita. A slightly better selection, in my opinion.
I would say
But-
B then.
I'd give it a B. I sort of
I'd give it a C.
I would want to give it a B, but I don't know if you guys have seen an old PSP that's been used a lot, but it's got gunk in the crevices and these
They
buttons are worn
break
out.
easily too.
Yeah, they're not very reliable devices in my opinion. They're
Mm.
cool, but you will rarely find a
had
nice
one.
one.
I had one and it was I enjoyed it. So that's why
Right when
would
I was
give it a
about to get
B.
bored of it, it broke, and then I'm like, well, it's time to sell it.
Broken? Hold up. What?
Yeah, someone wanted to fix it.
So, Yana, what would you give the PSP? C or B?
Never tried it, dude. Am I the tiebreaker?
Yes.
Heard good things about it. Chris Chan had a lot of adventures on it, so I'm assuming it's good.
That
I
bumps
don't
it down
know.
to D
But
tier.
is it
C is fine.
Okay.
It's for Chris Chan.
C for Christian.
hmm
S tier.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many classic titles on this. And like I said, it took what the NES did and did it better. Easy S tier for me.
Sean been
I can
talking?
agree with that.
Is Sean gone?
No,
Oh,
He's
he's been
dead.
quiet.
I've been here the whole time. Have you?
Yes, I'm in the shadows. This
Because
is
you were quiet for a while.
This is
Uh,
this is the
I was
2600.
busy. Yes,
So
it's
you
good.
and
I
Kian
love
have
it.
the junior variant of this, but this is the original.
So the best thing about the Atari is definitely ET overall.
Oh yeah, such a good game, masterpiece.
The Atari 2600, another landmark system.
I haven't
Is this
played
the one
this
that played Mappy?
What?
I fucking love Mappy.
Happy? Is that like Frogger?
Nah.
No,
Oh, that is. Fuck.
just for ET S tier.
It's the one that like you're a mouse chasing cats.
I remember this.
Yeah.
I think
Love that
we
game.
have that. No, that's NES.
NES.
I don't
Mhm.
think there's an Atari one.
I
Is
have it
there?
on an Atari collection.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, I guess there is. Hold on. I might get it.
There are a lot of good games for this as well.
The
A lot
only
of classics.
the only real judgment I have on this console is really just the history element of it. It was a kind of a pivotal part of Atari's history in video games. So
I'd give it a B.
I think I prefer the 7800, but the 2600 is pretty solid.
do we want to give
I'd
it a
probably-
B?
I'd probably give it a B, yeah.
You have like the really old obscure ones on this, like Odyssey or whatever shit's from
No,
AVGN.
no,
Okay,
'cause
cool.
we're not gonna have
The,
any
the,
valid
the
opinion
CDI.
on that.
Alright.
CDI.
I think the one that I was close to adding that I didn't add was the 3DO. It's kind of the same problem. I don't think any of us are gonna have a valid enough opinion on that.
So
I say S.
this took what the Game Boy Advance did, kept all of its good features, and added
And then just made
a
it better.
backlight on it, and just
Yeah.
made it better. It was
That's-
rechargeable, no more batteries.
No, that's the best part is that it had a backlight. The rechargeable battery is kind of iffy because, of course, replacing it is a pain in the ass, but
You don't need to do that too often.
no, replacing the whole battery pack. It's the same thing as replacing the little coin battery in your Pokemon Gold or Silver. It's just, you have to be knowledgeable to do that. And
Yeah, but why would you need to do that if it's rechargeable, Trevor?
Danny,
Shush.
Well, like, no, like, legitimate question. Like, what, like, 12-year-old was like, oh, dang, I need to
I mean,
replace
I've,
the
I've,
battery
I've never
pack.
had my pack run out before, but I guess it's possible. I'd personally give it like an A plus,
Yeah, I would give it an
Or
A+.
like a
I don't know if
a
I would...
low S, because it pretty much does the same thing as the Advanced, just with a couple extra features.
Well, that's why I would give it S because
But
of
S for a handheld system, it's an S.
right.
I mean, I don't think, yeah, it's the only handheld that's in there right now. We could move it down if we come across something else that we feel like belongs
We
up
can
there,
always
but
change it, I guess. So.
yeah.
I personally didn't like it when growing up, but, you know, that's just me.
Why didn't you like it?
So
Well, I guess
I
it
didn't...
wasn't as comfortable to hold.
Yeah, I didn't like I thought the flipping feature was kind of like it was, I was like, okay, cool, but like also like my thing's small enough, so it doesn't need to be more compact. And I felt like like the backlight was cool, but I already had the dongle, you know,
Dongle.
so like that like shined the light on the screen.
Danny sure likes his dongles.
I did, and so I felt like
You also have
like
an
all
Apple
the improvements. Me as like a like I don't even know when I was playing.
one. Do you have an iPhone, Danny?
No,
Oh, he doesn't.
Oh, well, I thought you liked dongles.
I do like I get all the iPhone dongles. I just don't have an iPhone. But I felt like all the improvements were like kind of like either superficial like bragging right things or like just not necessary. Like in retrospect, I find the backlight, you know, like I see like that's really useful and stuff. But like I personally was like what when I was playing didn't notice a difference when I played on like my friends and was like I already have this. This is like good enough and I like it. And then I got a DS and then it like really made me think like, well, like what's the purpose of this? But I can see like given the choice, like from an initial buying standpoint, you'd probably go with the Game Boy Advance SP.
Game Boy
because,
Advanced, I think, was my favorite era of handhelds.
Yeah, and like, yeah. So I'm okay with it being above the Game Boy Advance, but I just like remember as a child not liking it as much. Like as an adult, I can appreciate, but like, I thought it was kind of a dumb design. And then the DS came out, and I was like, that makes more sense because it's wider. I think I just didn't like it because it was square. And it, like, honestly, like, I think that was it. It was like, it's square, it doesn't look, like, nice.
Where you had a bad time in a geometry class, you don't like it.
Yeah, I thought it was like a calculator or something. And, like, I think kids' aesthetic is, like, something to take into account.
I mean, what you can, if you look at it more carefully, well, we're discussing the SP too much, but next to the original Game Boy, the buttons are really far to the sides. I mean, the Game Boy is also much more thicker and heavier, but definitely meant for your fingers to be spaced out more. I would agree that the ergonomics of the SP are not as good as the original Advance, but I think the pros, like what you gain, is just overall fantastic. So
Yeah, like, I like that's why I said, like, you know, today, given today's standard, I would, like, pick one up over just a regular Game Boy Advance anytime.
Yeah.
But, like,
Going back
And-
to the old Game Boys and
Yeah.
going back to where you have to put it under a lamp just kind of sucks.
I
Yeah,
almost
having-
really like
having
that
a
nostalgia
backlight-
factor.
really
And,
just
like-
changed everything.
And also, I don't sort of agree with like I get the time period wise, but I don't agree with putting that there and then having the regular DS be in B tier. Because given all three options, I would choose the regular DS anytime. Like,
Well, I think do you have the DS Lite anywhere in there?
it's not on here yet, but like,
I don't think
I-
so.
yeah, of course I would
put
choose the DS Lite over that, but I feel
I'd
like
choose a DS Lite over the other DSs.
Nah, I don't think I'd put the DS Lite in this list.
The DS Lite just felt better and it was smaller.
yeah, if the DS Lite's not in this list, then I feel like the Game Boy Advance SP definitely needs to be further down in A.
Well, yeah, I guess we'll continue on and we'll
But yeah, we can come back to that.
PS1. This one I actually didn't personally own, but I played a lot at friends' houses, and there's a lot of
I'm
I
gonna
would
say
say
A tier, definitely. I would.
I agree.
if not S.
I would say A as well.
I'm okay with
I
it.
really wanted a PS1, I just didn't have it.
The game selection was just as good as the N64. Like, the way I would see it is that looked at a logical standpoint, the N64 and the PS1 had equally raved games and a good game selection. If anything, the PS1's game selection was a bit more expansive because it was around for longer. I really do want to look this up because it's a cool fact, but the PS1 was produced until, I think, like, well into 2000s. They made a lot of these consoles because they just kept selling.
And that's why you can go to a store and buy it for $20.
Yep.
Game Gear. Okay, I
Oh,
haven't
what the
played
fuck
this.
is that?
I don't know if any of you guys have had this one.
No.
Alright, we'll put
The
it.
only Sega system I had was the Dreamcast that I owned growing up, at least. I have a little bit of experience on this. There are a couple good games, but I haven't played it enough to say yes or no for sure. I've played maybe 2 games on this.
Yeah, I haven't touched it.
I kind of wish that you got to see, my friend Rocco's place, because he has this and he has a lot of other systems and stuff, like the floor to ceiling shelves of video games. Like, kind of wish you could see that.
Damn, nice. Yeah, the only real judgment call I can make on this is that it's a good alternative to the NES if you think about it for the time. But because consoles were expensive back in the day, so you literally,
Kian, holy
But you look
shit.
drunk with your boyfriend.
what's up, dude?
Hey guys.
Kian, hurry, yell at our list.
Uh, okay. Why is
No.
the Nintendo DS Lite below the Nintendo DS?
That's a
I know,
DSi.
right?
That's a DSi, so it deserves to be there.
Oh. I don't
What
think
the fuck is the DSi?
the Game Boy Advance.
It's like a regular DS, but
It's like a DS Lite, except they put a camera on it, and
they took away the backward compatibility.
they took away the ability to play Game Boy Advance games.
Well, where's the DS Lite? Is that not on this list?
Trevor
No.
said he didn't put it on the list, which I don't understand.
Well, we can always add it, and if we add it, it goes into A tier, I think.
I would put it in S.
I
Let's
wouldn't
do
put it
that.
in S.
Sorry,
Well,
2600 not in S or A. What's going on here?
Well, we figured
2600
that
is probably going. It's not S tier because some of the games.
Kian, it wasn't S tier until you touched it, so we had to knock it down a few notches.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so hold on. Sidebar.
So
Wii
Master System, let's throw this. Okay,
F is a strong agree.
okay, A tier, I think.
S for
Yeah.
me.
I don't think it matches up with the N64, the SNES.
Original NES should probably be around A or S. Like it's right.
Well, it is an A right there.
That's Oh yeah, right. What the hell's that?
Sega Master
Seg-
System.
This was the NES alternative. This was Sega's response to that. Well, just Sega's similar generation console.
That is an N for me, sir.
No one has played it.
I've played. I've
Oh.
played it. I've played. The one I play the most, I think, is Altered Beast on there, which I love it. It has some good games for sure. I just haven't played it enough to fairly rate it.
Does anybody else have any fair judgment on it?
Nope.
No, not really.
Okay, we'll put it in. I get a feeling a lot of the older Sega stuff is going to be putting in.
PS4. I think the
You can
PS4
play
is
Fortnite on that, so I'm gonna have to say A.
F for Fortnite.
I'd say A tier. Although I'd throw the PS3 in A tier. Although I think the PS3 would still be higher in the A tier versus the PS4.
Yeah, I would almost say PS4. Like, I would actually put the PS4 in B tier. Now that I think about it, because like,
a lot of the exclusives that were on the PS3, any trilogies and special exclusives and stuff, they aren't on the PS4. Either the series ended or the developers left.
yeah,
They're
and also like as far as like how I view like a console, like it like I don't see the PS4 as innovated.
Also don't forget you got to pay for the online as well. So,
Yeah,
B
like
tier, yeah, for sure, B tier.
actually, yeah, with that I would put it in B tier.
Game Boy Color. Well, it's basically
Solid. A or B?
Game Boy.
Higher than the Game Boy.
A Game Boy Pocket, but with color on it, and a small library of games, but pretty good ones. Gen 2 Pokemon. You got Wario Land.
No, I wouldn't put it in S.
Why
I'd
not?
put it in A tier
I'd put it in A tier.
because
Why-
I don't think it matches up
It's
with
not.
the.
It's not better than the Advance Game Boy Advance.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, I
The
don't
Game
think it
Boy
is either.
Advance
But-
beats.
Release date.
It has a smaller selection of games. The game and plus the other Game Boy, well, the Advanced and the SP are more versatile as well. They have a gigantic library of games. This one has some good games, but I think that and it was a good system too. But I wouldn't put it above the advanced era. I think it belongs in A tier.
I'd put it exactly on par with the original Game Boy, because like its innovation factor, I would say, is negated somewhat by its like
Its selection of games is
its selection of games specific to it is not that much, and like I guess if you're gonna give it points based on the Game Boy Color, like purely off of everything you can do off the Game Boy Color, then the Game Boy Advance and SP go up farther, and so does the DS. But like, I think like just based on how it innovated after the previous generation, like it is a solid A.
Oculus Rift. Now this is fun to use. I think that like I was kind of skeptical before I started using it. I'm like, people are just overreacting to what they see in this. Like those videos are stupid and staged. And then I put it on, and I actually felt like I was in a different room.
Yeah,
I'd give it a B.
I would give it a B.
I think it has a lot of potential, but I think that once again, it loses a bit on selection and price.
And also usability wise, it's not.
It's clunky. The
It's
setup is
not.
clunky.
You can't constantly use it, and you can. It's like very clunky to like set up.
No, because they try to address that with like VR gear, but that's the thing about the Oculus Rift is that you need a PC and a PC games library. Not to mention knowing whether games are VR compatible or not, or if your graphics hardware is VR compatible or not. There's a lot of peculiarities to using VR. It's not mainstream at the moment, and that's pretty much why.
And I think the motion sickness is just like a huge factor. Like I tried playing Skyrim on it, and I thought it was super cool, but also I was not able to continue playing for more than like.
I don't get
20
motion
minutes.
sick. I have a lot of fun on this thing, but I don't own one. I really wish I did. But man, I think it has a lot of potential. I think that if they released a next generation of this, it would be pretty good.
I mean, you
Kind of,
can go
yeah.
to a VR cafe or just some like venue that has Oculus Rifts or HTC Vives, and you can experience VR for yourself and get a feel for really how awesome it is.
Once again, my
It's-
friend has a VR setup at his place, and I play it when I'm there, so it's a lot of fun.
If you wear glasses, VR doesn't work.
You can get custom. What are they called? Lenses.
Yeah, but it's expensive.
Eugenics fixes this.
You can just get good, and your vision could just get better.
What even is this, Trevor?
You don't know. You don't know what this is?
Is this one of those
Chinese
knockoffs?
DS?
The 3DS.
No, this is no. It's a 2DS XL.
Ah.
You fucking DS.
Yeah, I don't keep up with much in
Just
the
for that
form of-
F.
Yeah, and
It's-
Nintendo.
I think this is completely. I think it's completely pointless. I'd toss it
Yeah.
in half.
I mean, if it were cheaper than the 3DS and they just took out the 3D, then like yeah, but I don't think it is cheaper.
I
It's-
thought it was cheaper than the 3DS.
But it's. I don't see a point to the system though. I think that it belongs in F for the same reason that the 2DS.
It's
there.
basically a bigger 3DS that doesn't have the 3D feature. It basically takes everything about the 3DS and everything wrong with the 2DS and fixes both of them and makes it in one console. That's generally my opinion of it. Other than the price. The price is
But-
really the only reason why I wouldn't rate it
Taking-
high.
Taking away the 3D, I mean, I don't always use it. I probably have it off like 90% of the time. But
They look
why,
look to
why
be about the
lose
same
out?
price.
Why lose out on the features though? Well, I guess you are kind of right with that. It isn't. It does take away a lot of the bad that the 2DS.
It just takes away the 3D feature, which most people don't use. I mean, you can say that it's nice to have, but most people who have a 3DS, don't use it, and would
Yeah, I
rather
don't-
not be there at all. So this takes it away, preserves the folding mechanism, which the 2DS got rid of, and don't know why. They basically took a step back, realized what they did wrong with the 2DS, and made this, which I think is what they should have done in the first place to make a less expensive 3DS. Except
That's
for the
fair.
fact that Danny
I'd say
apparently
that
said that it's close to the same price.
Yeah, as far as I can see, and this is just looking on like Google Shopping, but like from Target, you can get and GameStop 2DS XL and a 3DS XL are the same price. And I'm trying to find a 3DS from like a legit retailer.
I am probably gonna pass on rating this one. So
I want to put it in B tier because it's actually a pretty darn useful console. I wouldn't say it's amazing because it is still pretty expensive, and I mean it's still just a 3DS, which only has the 3DS game selection, and there's obviously much better mobile gaming options. The Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
forget, you can
I would.
actually-
Does it
you
have
can
a
actually
camera?
play- you can
I'd
actually
put
play
it B.
games on the 3DS.
It does have a camera.
I'd put it
Huh.
in B.
The Xbox One. Oh, I think that it started off strong, but the fact that you don't have to purchase it with the Kinect anymore, but the fact that you did killed its strong start. Why did it have to cost? Why were you forced to buy the Kinect at first? I bought one with the Kinect, and then they stopped bundling it with the Kinect. I think that it's overall a weak system compared to the
I
PS4.
would say C.
I'd say solid C right there.
Oh, yeah.
I have both, and I think the PS4 fixed a lot of issues that the PS3's multiplayer had. Although now it charges a price, which is why it's in B. The Xbox One just kind of
To me, it has
it,
no.
it was mediocre, I think.
Yeah, well, the PS4 has sort of the same problem. This console has no personality, and yeah, it did have the whole Kinect problems with the marketing scheme in the first place.
I
The only-
completely agree with the personality thing.
One of the good things that I think the Xbox One has given us is this controller, which in my opinion is probably the most ergonomic controller ever made for the most ergonomic game controller, period.
No, not the GameCube controller.
Yeah, I
I
still
think the
prefer
GameCube
the
controller
GameCube.
wins, but this is number 2.
The shit.
Yeah.
The shicks.
Now this is
Oh
S
yeah,
tier.
S. I know this one.
So, why S?
S.
Okay, I get
Because
Animal
Okay.
Crossing.
Selection,
for its
controller,
time.
Pure
Yep.
nostalgia.
This is the best controller of any console that has ever existed.
Yeah, I think its
It
controller.
It has
I
one of
think-
the best selections of games.
I think its breakout games for like Smash Brothers, like being like one of the
Melee-
best.
Melee,
If
not
in my opinion, was
best.
the best until Ultimate was released.
You guys, it's a cube, and it says it's a cube, and it's actually a cube.
Yeah,
It's
I really,
not actually a cube.
I
No,
really
it's
like the design.
It's
I
not.
really like the fact that they put the handle on it.
That there's a handle, you guys,
Hey, you can swing it around in case a home intruder pops in through your window, and it won't
and it'll
break
still
either.
work.
You can literally hurt someone with it by chucking it at them, and then you can just go to a garage sale and buy another one for $15.
It doubles as a weapon, so S tier for sure.
Like, I feel like a lot of consoles are like, I'm a rectangle, I'm a circle, but this one's a cube, and it's actually a cube.
Well, just
You
about.
know?
I mean,
Like,
Cube.
Xbox, is that really a box? Not really.
It was similar to the N64. I think it had a very unique feel to its games.
Yes, I would.
You can't
side
find
with
you
that
can't
as well.
find games that are similar to that.
Well, there's so many games that
Anywhere
kind
else.
of went totally. I mean, this is just Nintendo in general, though.
They
Nintendo's really good at
experimented a
doing
lot
this.
with the GameCube.
Yeah, but a lot of them just worked because they were just really good game ideas, like Animal Crossing,
Double Dash,
Double Dash.
Melee.
Double Dash is actually my favorite Mario Kart of all time.
Double Dash is definitely
Luigi's Mansion.
Yes.
That's a great game. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
it's like it's Saturn. Saturn. Okay, I don't own this, but I've played it. It's not that good.
Is someone
Selection.
buzzing? Someone's buzzing.
Sorry, that's my AC.
Dude, nice.
That's
That's
just your
pretty.
mom.
That's pretty cool, Tyler. Get
Here,
it?
I'll shut it off so I can suffer in the heat.
Dude, it's fucking February. Get good.
It's getting hot out. It's starting to, at least. Help.
California, that's the best help I can give you.
No, I'm not going to dump all my money into housing.
Yeah, just dump it all into AC, Tyler.
Yeah, I'd rather do that.
I bet it turns out to be the same price.
No, because we blast AC here as well, especially in
C or
summertime.
D?
I want to say C
I'd
because
give it a-
it's still kind of a integral part of history. It's a reliable console. They actually fucking use CDs, so a lot of their games are they're not super
games.
special games, but definitely cutting edge.
I don't think that's enough to bring it up for D tier, personally. This is where Sega went wrong.
This is where CDs go to die.
This is where
Yep.
this is the beginning of the end.
Hmm?
Alright, hold on. I'm getting tired of dragging in new stuff on the bottom layer. There we go.
The fat,
D.
the rotund PS. The thick
D.
PS.
Nothing really redeemable. I guess I have some big games.
A.
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom
Is
Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts really?
It was amazing until 3 came out. See, it became more and more confusing as it went, but story aside, gameplay was amazing. Challenge was great. But it had, like I said, the selection. The selection was one of the best. I'd say the only selection that beats this is probably the PS2. I'd put it in solid A right there. It does. I think it's better than the Slim.
So the Slim kind of characterizes the whole PS3 marketing and, as far as history goes, but more just chronology.
Let's
Where
not
it
forget
sits
that
in
this
the
is
games
backwards
industry.
compatible as well.
No, that's what I was going to say, though, is that this is not just a console. This is a statement, because this console is horrifically over-engineered. Its launch price was $600, twice the price of the Xbox 360s. And it did not only play PS2 games, but it played PS1 games. And how the A and the
Okay.
E models, the A model, how that played PS2 games, they literally took an entire PS2 processor and put it on the motherboard. And that's how it plays PS2 games.
Yeah, and the selection, like Danny said, Kingdom Hearts, you had Little Big Planet, like you said earlier, you got Resistance, you had Mag, you had Warhawk. There's a lot of games for it that were good.
The
I
only,
would say-
the only reason I wouldn't put it in S tier is because it has horrific hardware issues. It overheats, it suffers from the yellow light of death, and the Slim is way more reliable and a much more solid
I've never
console.
had that before, actually.
It only happens with the A and the E. The G and the Ds, which are the ones that aren't backwards compatible, are typically actually very reliable. But the A's and the E's, almost all of them have suffered from yellow light of deaths at some point. At this point, they're really, really hot running consoles.
Well, I kind of agree, because actually when I went to pick up another PS3 or a couple PlayStations, so because I want a functional collection, I was recommended to get a PS2 so I can play PS2 and PS1 games on that, and then a PS3 exclusively for PS3 games.
No, that's probably what the thinking was. They didn't want you to get a FAT because the FATs are not very reliable.
A tier though, because mine never broke and I had a good experience with it. Okay, now this is S tier right here. S tier. It was a
I
little
think
late
the
on
main
the.
the main reason I would put it in S tier is because Sony just got super lucky. They were coming up with the DVD medium right as they were developing this console, and they were in a position to basically ensure that DVD would take over the home theater market. So it was just too perfect. People could buy a PS2, which is not that expensive, and have a DVD player in their house and a home game console. Just stupid, stupid convenient for families.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it
So
has the best selection of games.
it
in my
did
opinion.
kick off some level of online gaming, which was somewhat accessible, but it still required a modem. I believe they also did have an Ethernet extension on the FAT, which was
I never
cool.
played online on this one. I just played.
Well, it was game dependent. It wasn't centralized because the PS2's BIOS didn't have any sort of like online gaming support or anything like that. So it was game dependent. But there were a few games that had online multiplayer, and the PS2, out of all of the generation of consoles in the PS2's generation, the GameCube, the original Xbox. Well, the original Xbox had Xbox Live, so that's a different story.
Yeah.
But this console actually did have a few games which had online play.
S tier. I'd say S.
I'm with that. Anybody disagree?
No.
I don't really didn't
I would
play it
say,
to make an opinion.
Solid.
Genesis. Ooh. Now, this was the. I think this was Sega's best system that they've ever.
F tier. I don't like Sonic.
Did Sonic hurt you? Where did he touch you, Danny?
He touched me in my knuckles.
I'm Nipples, the enchilada. I can break through stone with my rock hard fist nipples. Boy, kind of chilly today. No, not C. No,
B?
And
B.
A.
A?
B.
Because I had the chance to
It
Try
was
out
the. It was the SNES of the. It's Sega's SNES, basically.
I didn't like the controller though.
Neither did I, but doesn't make the collection any worse. Plus, you get Sega innovated a lot, I think, and that really shows in their games, especially from the Genesis era. I think that this is another one of those consoles where you can't find any other games like the ones that came from that console anywhere else. And I think that's a good thing in Sega's case. Now, this could play GameCube games, don't forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the older models you can actually plug a GameCube controller into.
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
Yes.
Are there
Also
newer ones
play
you
any-
couldn't?
solid A. Nothing
Plus,
more
this brought about the Me channel song. So,
Memes.
S tier.
You'd
I mean,
want
it
to.
wasn't perfect. It was kind of a shitty console. So.
It was.
The only thing that made it shitty was that its graphics and hardware were way behind the PS3 and the
Right.
Xbox 360. But that was it.
The Wii had a lot of.
Everything else about the Wii was fantastic. It was small.
The selection was not.
Game
fantastic.
selection. You don't
No.
think so?
Nope.
I
I think that most games were piles of garbage that you just didn't buy and that sat in a game store forever.
You know what? I will agree with that actually.
I do think
you basically only bought a Nintendo Wii to play Nintendo titles because it's
Yeah.
it's a very casually and family oriented gaming system. It's not at all for a universal gaming selection like PS3 and Xbox 360.
yeah, I do think this is really where Nintendo like divided up. Like
Looking
somewhat
back
on
at it-
GameCube, but like all the shooters on the Wii sucked because just
That's why you don't
inherently it was
buy
not
shooters on
built
the
to
Wii.
play shooters.
You buy them on the PlayStation or Xbox.
Yeah,
It's not for turbo gamers.
like the GameCube at least had like some GoldenEye and stuff like that you could play where if you wanted to play some of those, but like the Wii was just god awful for that.
But I think
The hardware was weak too.
yeah, but I mean that's so.
The
Would it go in A
controller
or
was
B?
yeah. The controller.
I would
was
put it in
gimmicky,
A.
Like, I'd say B probably.
Really?
Well, looking back on it, what were your favorite Wii games. I mean, you could say Smash Bros. Brawl, which
I
I
love
very
Brawl.
much liked Brawl.
I
Bowling.
love Brawl. I really-
even though,
I think
I get
even though
offended.
I don't think it was as good as the other Smash Bros. Games, it's still a Smash Bros. Game. It's still going to be a great game.
I think actually Brawl is the most approachable Smash Bros. Game
Brawl
I
is
can-
the
I can
best
see that,
casual
yeah.
Smash.
that I've
I'd say-
played.
Oh, not to
Granted, I
mention-
haven't played a whole lot of the Switch Smash, but I played up through Wii U, and I still prefer Brawl.
absolutely play Ultimate. I think it's the best still.
Yeah, I've heard it's the best, so I'm not going to say it's like that, but I preferred Brawl over Melee when I played it, and I know that's like not a popular thing competitive-wise, but casual-wise, Brawl I think was way...
Brawl's fun. Plus, it has the subspace emissary, so you don't
The
get
best,
that anywhere
yeah.
else.
Yeah, and it has the stage builder.
Yeah,
Yes.
plus
So-
I did
You
like
have
that
Wii-
too.
you have Wii Sports, which is actually pretty solid. A lot of Wii's came with that, and then you got
Wii
Wii Sports
Play.
Resort, which is even better.
Wii Play was actually very nice game in my opinion, as a like party collection to play
Animal
with
Crossing
people.
on that was okay, I guess. Mario Kart, I think that the Wii Mario Kart was one of the best.
Yeah,
That was my opinion.
I think that's like probably the highlight game for
I
the
think
system.
I personally think, I don't know how many people would agree with me, but I think that a lot of what Mario Kart Wii did was it took a lot of the best aspects of all of the past Mario Karts and just consolidated them into one game, including some of the stages and everything like that.
All right, I'm gonna see if they have the food that they made for me because it's been a while and I'm pretty sure it's getting cold. But
Other than that, I can't think of too many other Wii games that I could say are amazing. So I mean, there are a couple others. I'd give it to probably a B.
I think A.
Well, I guess if you guys all say A, then
It's like those few games made it. Twilight Princess wasn't half bad,
I
even
thought it
though
was
it's not
okay.
the greatest.
There's still a lot of other. I think a lot of other Zelda games are better,
Yeah,
both newer and older.
but like that was like a weak time for Zelda games.
It's still hard to make a bad Zelda game, though.
Yeah, but like Twilight Princess, I think like Skyward Sword, like that was a bad game.
Well, fair,
But
but
I-
still,
I
like,
almost
it's not
don't-
like horrendously unplayable, though.
yeah, and I don't really think that's a fault of the Wii. I think that was just like a storyline they were getting like until Breath of the Wild. They were kind of like, "What do we do?"
Do anything,
And I think like the actual fighting with a sword aspect with the controller was like a pretty cool thing. When I first played like what I just said
let's
it.
not forget you also have a chance of breaking your TV with it. So S tier.
Yeah,
That was my favorite part. All the TVs I broke.
Hmm.
Wham. Don't forget to connect the wrist strap. Trevor.
yes.
Yes.
Trevor's
All right. Sorry about that. But is the discussion concluded? Where are we putting Wii?
I think that most people say A, so
All right.
A.
I'm gonna think like Nintendo's gonna be hard pressed besides the Wii U to get below C tier.
The Wii U deserves to be an F.
Oh yes.
It is a useless piece of hardware nowadays. This beats the Oculus Rift by a little bit because of those little controller things. But I say a little bit, I'd probably rate it. Where did I put the Oculus? I put that in C, right? B. I'd put it in B. I'd give it a B plus. Only
I'm okay
because
with the
it's
B.
it's like an Oculus, but
I would still keep it in B because despite the fact that it is better, it's still expensive and not as accessible. Has the same
well,
problems that the Rift has.
VR. I would not rank VR any higher than a B. So
Yeah.
At the moment, maybe if it becomes more accessible.
OG Xbox. I didn't
Yes.
own this, but it was another one that I had friends that owned it, and I played a lot of games at their places. So
Solid games, solid controller can be easily hacked to play any other console with the same.
plus, it had Xbox Live.
I love the original Xbox because Microsoft just threw money at this and it shows. Under here, it's basically a Pentium 3 with an NVIDIA chip. It's the dumbest piece of kit ever made, mass-produced into a console, so... B tier? Or A?
Hey, it's at least as good as a Wii.
You
I
old
think,
boys are gonna have to vote. I didn't play it.
I'd put it in A tier. I'd say I don't think it's on par with all the other consoles in S, but it is.
No, it
Right.
does
I
not
think
belong
it-
in S tier, but
No,
it's because it came too late for it to really have any effect on the GameCube or the PS2's momentum, especially the PS2. But this destined Microsoft to forever be in a rivalry with Sony.
wait, but weren't some of the first games that released for that Shrek?
For the Xbox?
Oh, never mind. God tier.
Yeah, more like Shrek's box.
Yeah. Which fucking variant of Nintendo
Is this
was
the
The
3DS
3DS XL.
Yes.
Trevor, you put the 3DS XL on here and you didn't put the DS Lite originally?
Any goddamn.
Why are there so many DSs and 3DSs?
They're all relevant.
I don't have this, and I've never used it before, but it looks good because it has a big screen.
Yeah.
I don't
Never-
know its
never used it.
functionality or anything.
Wouldn't have gotten it. Would have gotten a DS Lite over it any day, and would have gotten probably a normal 3DS or a 2DS XL over that.
Which
Oh,
fucking
wasn't
Nintendo
this the
is
shitty PSP?
This is the Nintendo DS. Vita.
I've never had it because I had the PSP it's regular. This is it's
called the PSP Go.
BlackBerry.
It's the
Not the
PSP.
BlackBerry, but
It's called the PSP Go.
this noise. Never had it. Ho ho ho. S tier.
Be hard pressed not to put it in S.
This is Nintendo saying, "I'm sorry, we fucked up. Here's everything you've ever wanted in a system from us." S tier.
Yeah. Probably S or A.
That's
So
it.
it's the true successor to the GameCube, S tier.
It's a true successor to all of its past systems, really.
Well, this is the most portable system since the GameCube.
I don't even use the portability. I have it plugged into my TV. So
Wait, who actually has one here?
I do.
Mine is literally right to my left.
I do not own one, but I've played one.
Just the quality and the
Excessively.
innovation of the games on
No.
the system.
On that topic, that's what I absolutely love about the Nintendo Switch. I'm pretty sure Nintendo was on a rougher budget, so they just went after leftovers. The graphics processor is Maxwell. When Nvidia was gearing up to make all the Pascal chips, I'm pretty sure is when Nintendo approached them, and Nvidia was like, "Oh, well, we have a bunch of Maxwell chips that we can quickly put on your motherboards," and so they probably got a cheap contract that way. The screen is 720p, which some people will probably say, "Oh, that's not as high resolution as my phone." Samsung probably had a whole stockpile of these screens lying around, and 720p is perfect pixel density for this screen size for a video game. It's fine. It looks great. And it has PBR shaders, so all the games look fantastic. They ported Skyrim to this, for God's sake.
Well, hey, and look at the games here. Like, they tried their absolute best, and they actually listen to the fans for once, which is pretty much unheard of. So, like, look at Mario Odyssey, for example. They're like, oh, well, let's just take all the best parts of Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy and put them in one game and make it work. And same with Breath of the Wild. And Animal Crossing looks pretty good on this one. Same with Smash Bros. They did that again. There's no stopping the system here.
This console
I'd
is
say
going
so.
to go down as probably a pretty strong point in history, all the same as the NES. I think, I don't know. Like, as far as historical significance, what do you guys think are like the
I think
real?
it's modern, so I don't think we can fairly say anything about that. But
Yeah, until the
true.
next gen comes out, I don't think it's
this
judgeable on
is,
that.
I
But
will say, Nintendo was kind of dying out for a little bit until, like, this is kind of like a revival.
I think
So-
it'll stand the test of time.
I would still put it in S tier.
I would say N64, Wii, and Switch are probably the top consoles that they've come out with.
I'd say the GameCube beats the Wii.
Oh, I think the GameCube beats the Wii in terms of my enjoyment, but in terms of like effects it's had, like I think the Wii was way more innovative than the GameCube.
Well, that's
I
when
think
they
the GameCube-
became more, I think, family oriented. Was during the Wii.
Yeah, I don't agree with which one would I rather play? Like I would like just like libraries exclusive to those consoles. Like if I just had the Wii library or the GameCube library, but like if I had to pick 3 consoles to get, I would get the N64, the Wii, and the Switch because the Wii incorporating the GameCube, like backwards compatibility, I think is like very highly ranked in my like ranking.
So that looks like a PlayStation. Is that a PlayStation?
That's a Dreamcast.
Oh.
This was another console that I had when I was younger. It was,
Oh, is that Ages?
yeah, that's ages. So the only game I had on this was Sonic Adventure. that's it. That's it.
Nice.
But looking back on it, it's like I can't find too many games that I actually want for this. I mean, Crazy Taxi and what was it called? It was some sort of fighting game. I forget the name of it, but if I had this system, I'd probably have maybe like 4 or 5 games in total. It's not. I don't think it's a very strong system. I mean, Crazy Taxi is kind of a classic. Sonic Adventure is very mixed, but I think it's still pretty good. It holds up for the most part, specifically the gameplay. But yeah, I think C tier is pretty fair.
The only reason I wouldn't rate it lower, it's Sega's last hurrah, and it was a good try, but I think Sega tried so hard to one-up the previous generation as it was going to be. The Dreamcast officially falls under generation, I think it's 5 or 6, and it was up against, it ended up being up against the PS2 and the GameCube, which completely blew it out of the water. But Sega just, I don't know, I think Sega didn't, there were a lot of things that went wrong, and so Sega was going to get conked out of the hardware game for good. That's the last console, by the way.
Nice.
No Soldier Boy.
No Soldier Boy.
GG. No re.
No Almond Joys.
Bro,
Yeah.
no mounds. No mouse, Trevor.
But hey, I mean, look at the bell curve on this. It's not really a bell curve. Most systems have been pretty solid that we've ranked.
The only ones that made it into F were the Wii U and the 2DS. Sadly, Nintendo consoles.
It flopped.
Oh.
I mean,
They can't
I
win
guarantee
them all.
you. I mean, if we actually rated the Virtual Boy, we'd put it in F tier.
You think so?
Yeah. I will not buy one of those because I don't want eye strain and a bad selection of games. So I'll pass.
I would put it in D tier for innovation.
I don't even think it deserves D tier.
F tier to me is like you didn't
Trash.
innovate and you like sucked. And the Wii U I don't see as innovation.
No. I think since we've discussed a lot, I think we can all pretty much agree on this list here. I mean, there are a lot of good consoles out there.
I still think I'd put. I don't see the DS Lite in S tier, and I am upset by that.
I'd put that in A tier.
Fix it.
But why would the DS Lite go in S tier?
Because of like all the handhelds.
Well, it's a
That is the one that I think I would probably choose to own first.
it's a DS but ergonomic, in a good way.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, and like also the backwards compatibility, like basically between of all the DS versions, including 3DS, the only two that like you can play more than like their their standard library is the original DS and the DS Lite, like for backwards compatibility. Like the DSi games and the 3DS games, well, cool. I don't really see as like much different in terms of graphics or like specialness. Like 3DS games are cool, but like I feel like you could have made a lot of those games for the DS. Like there was no like graphics limiting or anything. It was just like we released a new console that had a new cool thing. Like so the DS Lite is like the pinnacle of all those systems in my opinion, because it has backwards compatibility, the optimal like ergonomics for the system, and like your color options are all there. Like the only thing like that 3DS has over it, or like all those variants, is like the like thumbstick, but they didn't even like put that on both sides, so I don't see it as like a super huge feature.
I didn't have really a bad time using the D-pad. I don't remember that being a hassle on the.
Like it's really not. Like it's a cool additional feature. Like that's the cool additional feature I think the 3DS adds, but it's not like necessary.
But then again, like I've played all the other Game Boys, so the original, the Color, and the Advance, and the SP, and I guess I was just used to the D-pad overall. But I'd say it's not.
Yeah, it's not a necessary feature by any means. I think it's like a cool feature that I'd give it props for. Like I wouldn't give props to like the 3DS, like 3D feature. Like I do think the thumbstick is like an upgrade. Like I don't see the 3D as an upgrade. I see that as like a novelty. But like there's not a whole lot of upgrade between those generations. Like when I went and got a 3DS because I was like, well, I need this to play the new Pokemon games, not because I was excited for it.
Yeah.
Whereas like getting a DS Lite as an upgrade from like Game Boy Advance games was like a huge upgrade and like a huge mode of excitement.
I kind of had the same feeling with the PS4 and the Xbox One. It's just like, oh well, there's new games on these, so I'll buy them. And I get the same feeling so far with the next generation of consoles that they've announced.
Yeah, like the Wii U, it's the same thing with like the Wii U, right? Like everyone thought of the Wii U as just a like attachment to the Wii.
Yeah.
Because like they didn't realize it was separate because it's so similar, and that's why the DSi, in my opinion, is like a D tier because like it's too similar. The 3DS did improve a little bit on stuff, but it's like ultimately not enough to like make it a unique concept. Like it shares the same name, like like and like it sort of deserves to.
Danny, enough. All DSs are the same.
But DS Lite is the best one.
Go home, Keen. You're drunk.
He actually is.
He is going home because he's drunk.
Stay home, Keen. You're drunk.
I'm home and I'm drunk.
Queer.
Wednesday night.
You have work tomorrow, though, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
So
You program better when you're drunk?
No, he doesn't.
It's a little bit more fun when I'm drunk. But I can't say I'm better.
I puke when I'm drunk.
It is disgusting.
Gross. Don't do that.
Noise.
Am I supposed to hold it in?
Yeah, you
Just like a
swallow
fart.
it and then you get more drunk.
I don't know if it works that way.
I mean, I think it actually does work that way because you're throwing up alcohol like that's in your stomach that is yet to be absorbed. So if you re-swallow that alcohol, it will end up getting absorbed.
Yeah, it's a
But there's probably your body probably has a good reason for trying to get rid of it if it's actually trying to.
Yeah, honestly, alcohol is one of the best drugs, like solely because, like, if you overdose, you throw it up easy.
Nice. Like salt. I'd put it at a solid A for the drug tier list.
Yeah, can we do a drug tier
Good
list?
drug. Yeah,
I don't think we have enough
We don't
experience.
have enough experience, but like I think it'd be
We,
fun.
we have Kian.
I
He's
can
tried
actually
everything
I've-
in the universe.
Yeah. I've done a lot of drugs.